Welcome to the podcast! Äntligen spelmusik, or finally game music, and this is episode 129, and I am your host, Kristoffer Schenström, and today's thematic of this podcast is happiness. So yeah, what type of music can we dig forth when it comes to happiness? How are exactly the music making us feel when we're playing the game, and how are actually our memories of these games when we're listening to these type of tunes? So we're going to dig a little bit deeper, talk a little bit about these games, and just enjoy the music. So yeah, today we have two requested songs and two songs that I've picked myself. So I'm going to dig a little bit deeper during these all of these songs for this week. But yeah, the first song out this week is actually a requested song, because I thought it was just too good not to take it, since it is an opening theme. So yeah, here comes the testimonial here. So a little bit, this was from Karuchi, by the way. So it's nice with some OC remixes added to the mix. Actraiser is admittedly one of the best OST Koshiro has ever made, but it is getting rather repetitive hearing about it all the time, and the same goes for Streets of Rage. Really, so good on you for only using it as background music. So yeah, I did make a little bit of thought of it, but even though when it comes to Streets of Rage, I actually used the Streets of Rage 4 song that Yuzo Koshiro worked on as the start, because yeah, I'm trying to pick off a little bit not so famous songs, maybe. I'm trying at least. But when it comes to happiness, I'm gonna tell you it's a little bit harder though. But yeah, so happy music, eh? So many, I mean, the ending credits for Josh's story is one of the perfect mix of nostalgia and happy sappiness. The athletics theme from Josh's Island is perhaps even more happy, and darn catchy to boot. The Mario and Yoshi series of games have a very happy and fun soundtrack in general, but I guess to avoid the overdone cliché choices, I'd go with the request of the intro to Skies of Arcadia. It both sounds heroic, adventurous, and supremely happy at the same time. It is rather safe theme as far as hooking the player in concerned. But it is very powerful and you composed with the solemn title screen tune. The composer himself has said that he took a gamble with this particular music, but with the upbeat tempo of the intro made it okay. Now, it almost sounds as if I rather recommended the title theme above the intro, which I do, but we're here for the happy thoughts now, aren't we? So, the music we're starting this with is the opening theme from Skies of Arcadia. Skies of Arcadia, and the opening theme requested by Karuchi. So thank you so very much. I really enjoyed this opening theme, and it's a great start of this episode when we're talking about happiness. I really enjoyed this tune, and it was so magical, and I would definitely agree, it both sounds heroic, adventurous, and supremely happy at the same time. But I couldn't get away from reminding myself or kind of recalling the first bit that we hear in the beginning of this tune. So I'm just gonna play like the original one where I remember this kind of small melody from, and then we will just do the Skies of Arcadia, and then we will get back. So listen to this one. Maybe it's just me, but I could definitely hear Zelda Ocarina of Time there. So at first we had the intro for the Hyrule feel, and then second we had the Arcadia there going in and out. I don't know about you guys if you agree with me on this one, but I definitely was just missing something when I was listening to the Skies of Arcadia theme here. But I really do enjoy it. It was super amazing. So when it comes to this specific song, it was composed by the Japanese Yutake Minobe. But the soundtrack was also co-composed together with the Japanese Tatsuyuki Maeda. People might recognize these two names as we played a song from this game just 2 episodes ago. So yeah, we're talking about quite recently about these two guys. But yeah, for those who don't remember, the game was developed by the Japanese company Overworks, and the game was released originally on the Dreamcast, but also got a release for the GameCube, but under the name of Skies of Arcadia Legends at that point. So, since we have recently played a song and we went through both of the composers, so let's take a look instead on the studio instead here. So, the Japanese Overworks was a Sega-owned studio, and the studio's roots can actually be traced back all the way back to the Sega Development Division 6 back in 1988. But it took some more time before they got their more recognizable form, the studio itself, back in 1993. And when it comes to Overworks, they're mostly known for the games in the series like Streets of Rage and the Shinobi series, but more specifically it's the Streets of Rage 3, and you also have Daytona USA and the first Shinobi game. So it's quite interesting that they have roots so back, so to speak. But yeah, when it comes to Skies of Arcadia, just as the last time we talked about Skies of Arcadia, I haven't played this game before. I only heard the music, and I did really enjoy the whole soundtrack because it's on Spotify, so I took the liberty to actually listen through the whole soundtrack right after I did the whole podcast. I'm sorry, I'm just losing my train of thought here. But yeah, I did enjoy the soundtrack. It was super amazing. It was actually pretty magical listening through this soundtrack, and I actually got a little bit excited to actually try this game one day at least. Maybe not now because I do own a Wii, so I could play the GameCube one, but I do believe this might be an expensive game. But we will see. Maybe I can borrow this from a friend or something like that and actually get through it, because, I mean, Sky Pirates looks awesomely cool, man! So I really do enjoy. So thank you so much for requesting this song for this week, Karuchi. And the next song is actually one of my own, and it's about the little pink ball that we all might know and care for. And he's sugar sweet. So let's enjoy some Kirby 64, The Crystal Shard, and the song Popstar. Popstar from Kirby 64, The Crystal Shard, and this song was composed by the Japanese Kirby music guru Jun Ishikawa. And the soundtrack here was also co-composed together with another Japanese Kirby composer, Hirokazu Ando. The game, it was developed by the Japanese studio HAL Laboratory, and the game was released on Nintendo 64 back in 2000. It was released in Japan and in the US. Australia and Europe had to wait until the next year after. That would be 2001. And it's a little bit hard to talk about these composers separate, as they both have worked on so many games together. So let's actually start with Jun here, and because of that is because of his first game in his career was actually the Nintendo 8-bit game, and let's try not totally slaughter this Japanese game name. Uchuke Bitai SDF, there we go, which was actually released by HAL themselves as well back in 1990. And the two upcoming games were the New Ghostbusters 2 game and The Adventures of Lolo 3, which was also both released in 1990. And from here on, we will actually go and look at both of these composers together, because in 1992 they both worked on a game on the soundtrack for the Super Nintendo game Arcana. Then I will just do a little bit of a quick flyby here, because there's so many different games here. But yeah, we'll do some flyby here on the Kirby games they worked on together. So first of all, we have the Kirby's Adventures in 1993, we have Kirby's Star Stacker in 1998, Kirby's Air Ride in 2003, Kirby's Epic Yarn 2010, and then Kirby Planet Robobot 2016, and the latest game in the franchise of Kirby Fighters 2, that was released last year. In total, they've worked on 19 Kirby games together, but they also worked together on the Box Boy series as well. So the reason why I actually picked a song from the Kirby 64 here, first of all, the Pop Star song is so freaking happy in my opinion. I love Kirby when it just comes to Kirby. He's such a delight, just to say that the least, at least. So when it comes to this song, I really enjoy the thematic and happiness that it kind of spreads. It's fast-paced, it's happy with its tunes and everything. And I do really enjoy a specific kazoo edition of this one, but I didn't want to play this because I know a couple of friends of mine, I'm looking at you, Kebabo, are really already tired of me posting kazoo songs of Kirby theater songs. But I really enjoy the happiness. It really brings forward the child inside of me. And I get super happy just listening to the music from the Kirby series. And I do believe that many of you guys listening to this podcast share this feeling with me, that Kirby music are happiness solidified almost. But yeah, I really enjoy. But I haven't actually played the 64 game. From what I noticed in gameplay and text, it's kind of like the Klonoa game. So it is kind of a 2D perspective platforming that you're running around, and you still see everything in kind of 3D. So yeah. And before this game, there were just 2D games mostly, because they did have the spin-off series with Kirby's Dream Course, which was a little bit more 3D-esque, even though they used a lot of sprites, for example, for characters, I believe. No, they did not. It's all 3D now that I remember it. Maybe. I don't know. It was a long time ago since I played Dream Course, but I still, just like this song, I do remember it very fondly. I'm not sure everybody enjoyed that game, but for me, just having that game was just a delight. I love playing and throwing Kirby around a golf course. But yeah, next game out, we're heading into more Nintendo territory here, because everybody knows Kirby mostly through Nintendo devices, I do believe. Because I don't think it ever released on anything else now that I think of it. I'm not mainly a Kirby fan. That's what I'm pointing out right now. But yeah, we're heading into another Nintendo area, because we're heading into Super Mario Land now. So a request from Louise here again. And let's not spoil the song first here. So let's actually go through her testimonial here. So. And yeah, the title and everything comes quite quickly here. So I would like to suggest a song for the next episode. The Double Cherry Pass from Super Mario 3D World, on the thematic of happiness. The game makes me very happy, and together with the possibility to play with up to 3 friends makes it even bigger. I do hope the feeling can be reflected through this song. So we're going to listen to Super Mario 3D World and the song Double Cherry Pass. And that was the jazzy feeling of Double Cherry Pass from Super Mario 3D World, and also a requested track by Luis. So the soundtrack here was created by four Japanese composers. We have Mahito Yokota, Toru Minegishi, Yasuaki Iwata, and the legend Koji Kondo. And the game was developed, as you know, and as you guessed it, by the Japanese studio Nintendo, and more specifically the internal development team EAD, which stands for the Entertainment Analysis and Development. The game, it was released initially on the Wii U back in 2013, and not so long ago we even got the game again, and for this time for the Nintendo Switch, together with the Bowser's Fury game. I would say it's a smaller game, but in my opinion it was kind of weird packing it in to get together with this one, but I understand why they did it. So, very, very much welcome 3D World to the Nintendo Switch. So, and looking at the different composers here, because we have a couple of new names, at least the first three ones that I spoke of. So, looking at Mahito, he started working professionally with video game music back in 1999 on the game Sayuki Journey West, which was kind of an alternative spin-off story on the Journey to the West story. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Story. So, and yeah, right after that game, he started working at the Japanese studio Koei. And not their first game, but the first game he was working on there was the Kessen game back in 2000. He also worked on the second game, but as he worked at Kessen, he worked at a couple of ones, Dynasty Warriors and stuff like that. But in 2004 he left and started working at Nintendo and have been there ever since. His first work at Nintendo was on the game Donkey Kong Jungle Beat, which released the same year, that would be 2004. And at Nintendo, Mahito have worked on both Super Mario and the Legend of Zelda series mainly, but he has been working on a couple of those spin-off or off-trailing games. And the only game that he worked on that is not essentially in a series, maybe yet at least, but it is Nintendo's game ARMS, which was released back in 2017. And Mahito's latest credits was to the game Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Game, which was released in 2018. Working ahead to the next composer, we have Toru next in line. The first game he worked on was on Pocket Monster Stadium, or Pokemon Stadium here in the West, back in 1998. Toru have only credits from Nintendo games all the way up to today. And he has worked on many different games here. He has worked on Zelda series, Mario series, and even spin-offs for both of these series. But also worked on Wii Fit back in 2007, Wii Music for 2008, the Splatoon games and the first one released in 2015, and the latest credited game that he had worked on with the music is for the game Super Mario Maker 2, which was released in 2019. Looking at the third composer, Yasuaki, he's the youngblood here of these composers, with only 5 games found in his credit list so far. He joined back in 2013, and the first game he worked on was on the Mario Kart 8 game, which was released back in 2014. And he has only worked on one Zelda game that I can see in his credits, and that's for the Breath of the Wild back in 2017. And his latest work was for the game Animal Crossing New Horizon, which released last year. And last but not least, Koji Kondo. It's hard to avoid talking about Koji when we're talking about happiness specifically here, I guess. But we visited this composer a lot in the past, but since the last time we talked about Koji Kondo here, there has been another release with his work of new music. And that is for the game Paper Mario: The Origami King, which released last year. So specifically when it comes to this song, the Double Cherry Pass, I really do enjoy it. I have played the Super Mario 3D World, and this was actually a game it took me 2 years to complete. And the main reason for that is actually like a little story now here, so buckle up, boys and girls, we're going into story mode. But yeah, every year we have one specific day when I actually meet one of my great dear friends named Stefan, but called Heaven. And I meet him once every year. Back in the day, I haven't actually done that due to many different reasons. And I am kind of sad about that, because this was a pretty nice thing, giving him a visit once per year. Well, you always want to be more hanging out with more people that you like, but during the circumstances where we live in different parts of Sweden, it was actually hard getting stuff together on a regular basis. So once a year was the thing we did. So him, me, and a friend of ours, or my friend that I took with, actually sat down and played. And Stefan is a wide collector of Nintendo games, and I do remember that the last time when we played this, the Super Mario 3D World was actually a pretty new game. So we were super excited to actually get into the game and start playing it. And I don't remember exactly how many worlds we kind of played, but I would say at least 4 to 5 different worlds in the first session. And we usually played for 6 to 7 hours. And we had a blast. It was super fun playing around with this new perspective of the Super Mario games, which was exciting. And then the year after, we went back yet again, and and that time we also completed the game. Looking back at the music and everything, I think I kind of just remember more our screams and how we kind of just played around with each other instead, throwing each other off ledges and stuff like that. So I don't remember this song specifically, but always when it comes to Super Mario music, I really like the thematic of them and how they set the mood for each and every scene, but also for the worlds themselves. And yeah, there's nothing that can go wrong when it comes to Super Mario music. So, how are we going to actually end this episode today when we have such high quality songs throughout this episode? Well, I'm gonna finish this one off with one of my favorite songs when it comes to happiness now. And yeah, if you do remember when I was talking about the different remixes about Kirby, yep, we're listening to Kazoo Airlines from The Swords of Ditto. Kazoo Airlines from the game The Swords of Ditto. This was a small one, but I really enjoy this one. This is one of my favorite songs when it comes to this game. And I do remember I have talked about this game before, but I took that part when it was the Swedish one. So I really want to make a recommendation for this game now that we have the podcast in English. But yeah, before we get into that one, let's talk about the soundtrack here. So this song and this soundtrack was composed by the Swedish composer and chiptune artist Niklas Ström. And the game was developed by the British studio 1 Bit Beyond. And the game was initially released for the PS4, PC, Mac, and Linux back in 2018. The game was the year after also released on mobile platforms such as Android and iOS. And in 2019, the game also had its release on the Nintendo Switch. And for those who have been following this podcast for quite some time, even though it was in, when it was in Swedish, people know that I have actually interviewed Niklas in this podcast. But it was quite early in the podcast life and history here, because it was all the way back to the 9th episode. But yeah. But at that time, we did not talk about his career within games. We were actually talking about and interviewing him about his work within chiptune. So, this is actually the first time we can look into his VGM work professionally. And the first game he was actually working on was for the game Friendly Fire, Blood and Gore, that was released back in 2009. And since then he has worked on a couple of games, but I will only handpick a little bit of a few here. So we have the Hyper Princess Pitch back in 2011, Rymdkapsel back in 2013, Little Nightmares, Secret of the Maw back in 2017, and the latest released audio work was for the Swedish developed game Knife Sisters back in 2019. And I'm pointing out here it was audio work specifically because the composer for that game was actually another one, and we have actually interviewed that guy as well. It's actually Douglas. So yeah, it's super exciting to see kind of the Swedish phenomena going on locally, and especially since I know all of the people within that project. I've met them all, and they're super nice and super sweet people. So yeah, when it comes to the Sword of Ditto, for people who do not know about this game, maybe this is the first time you're listening to this podcast, and maybe it's the first time you're listening to this about this game as well. So the Sword of Ditto is a rogue-lite kind of game that kind of reminds me, at least, a lot about the Zelda games, the older Zelda games. And you can play this game in co-op as well, just strolling around in the world of Ditto. And basically, the Ditto is basically a sword that gives you heroic powers, basically making you a hero that can defeat the evil witch who tries to take over this world they're living in, the world of Ditto. So you can walk around and you can pick up penguins, you can solve puzzles. It's just a super awesome game in my opinion, and you need to play this game throughout multiple sessions, and it's super fun to just plug and play together with a friend. And it has one of the best recovery animations in game, period. You actually hug each other when somebody goes down, and I just love that part of the game. So it's one game that I usually pick up for people who like the old Zelda games and wants to play something new, and it's great to play with somebody, even if they're not super into games themselves, but they kind of want to try it at least, so you can together work your way through and beat bosses and do puzzles together. So yeah, I hope I've got you a little bit interested in this one, and I do love the kazoo airlines in this game. This is basically how you fast travel throughout the world. So you get this kazoo that you basically just blow, just like the ocarina in Ocarina of Time, for example, and other Zelda games. So you use the kazoo at certain points, and a bus comes to get you, and then gets you to the different points of the kazoo standpoints, so to speak. But yeah, you have a little town that you can go visit and buy stickers, and the stickers are basically put on your character, and the more you level them up and the more levels you earn, the more stickers you are able to put on your different gear. So yeah, it's super simple game, and every time you play a different character, you level up that certain character, so it gets better stats, and you can even get certain power-ups more essentially when you play them. And you can play a robot, you can play a rabbit and stuff with humans, a lot of different kind of stuff, and you can either choose who you want to be in the beginning, or you can just plug and play as the second player and get a random character when you're playing. And I just love all these small tad bits, and let's just talk a little bit fast about the art here. Everything is hand-drawn, so it's super beautiful as well. So it has this kind of, I would say, more childish look than what Zelda has when you're thinking about the more childish Zelda. More like towards Minish Cap, I would say, when it comes to graphical kind of preference. I would say that's more closely to it, but it still has its own style, so I really, really enjoy and like the game. But yeah, I highly recommend this game to everybody to play and have fun with. So the game itself spreads love. Hearing this kazoo from time to time, even when you're getting closer, you just hear this, and when you activate it, it makes a little kazoo sound. And when you're just having this loading screen, when you're hearing this Kazoo Airlines song. So I just love it. It's short, it's sweet, and I just love it. So yeah, these different happiness themes that we had for this week, 4 happy songs. And I do believe I made your Monday a little bit better if you're listening to this episode on the release day. But other than that, I sure hope you will be happy listening to this song any time of the day. So yeah. But other episodes from Finally Game Music or Äntligen Spelmusik, you can find those on our homepage, videospelsklubben.se, or in Spotify or your closest podcast app. Feel free to follow and comment on one of our social medias, either Facebook or Instagram. Just search for Äntligen Spelmusik. You can just copy the name of this podcast and just throw it down there, and you'll find that. And if you would like to hear your name within one of these episodes, you can either request a song for an upcoming episode by commenting in any of these social medias that I just told you about, or you can join our Discord, which you find the link at videospelsklubben.se. And you can also support this podcast for future content, quality updates, because I kind of want to up the tempo a little bit, and also in the future also maybe get a co-host. But to get there I need a little bit more money. Either I need to collect these money myself, but getting your support will actually help that come quicker, so to speak. But yeah, also when I don't need any money, all the money will actually go to future composers that haven't really gone into the whole career yet. So people that are in need of money, that are composers, will basically get this like a small funding to get them really started to where they want to go and what they want to do with their career and professionally. But yeah, becoming a Patreon will make this become more possible and hopefully bring to a nice community to help all the composers that we do like. So yeah, but our current awesome backers today, we have 3 of those, and I do love them all. You guys are freaking amazing, helping up and supporting this podcast. But first of all, we have Mikael Sjöberg, we have Andreas Nilsson, and Daniel Onemark. Thank you so much for supporting this podcast. And links to where you can either buy and support the different composers behind the music that we'll listen to today, you will find those in our main post at videospelsklubben.se. And the next theme we're going to have is Hack and Slash. And yeah, so every game that we're basically hacking and slashing throughout is more than welcome to have a suggested song from. So yeah, we will see what type of songs we will have for this theme, and I'm looking forward to hearing, hopefully, a large variety of different songs. Maybe some epic ones, some more sorrow ones, melancholic almost. But yeah, I have no freaking clue what we're going to listen to. So yeah, everybody do take care, and I enjoy to bring you more content next Monday. Take care!